What we're going to be talking about today is something that I think is just one of the most fundamental things to running a business, which is the why. A lot of people, I think, discount this or don't take into consideration or really even think to evaluate it as a whole. And it doesn't just apply to the business, it applies to the people in the business and the people that work for the business and also the clients of the business and also in essence, the province, country, geographic location in which you exist, that this why really, really does matter. And as we stop and say well, what do you mean the why? Well, the question is, why does your business exist? We can always boil things down to the fundamentals, or what I like to call the baselines. You exist because we live in a system that requires us to work within the obligation of finance and society in order to live out our lives. And gaining finance or a better situation in it provides us with a better life. But I don't think that's enough of a driving factor for us to determine what we want to be really doing. So when we get up and say, what's the why of a business? If I give you an example of a hot dog stand, which all the people that work with me are sick and tired of me talking about hot dog stands, it's a nice simple concept to understand. If the only reason you get up in the morning is to sell hot dogs, that principle will probably burn you out. But if you get up in the morning with the passion to feed people or the passion to give people an experience, that's much more fundamentally pleasing or a much more primal drive. And a lot of these things, when you say them to, say, team members or people in public, to them it's a hot dog. But if we look at everything like that, it's like saying the couch in your house is a couch. If that's all it is to you and it's not a place to sit and to relax and to enjoy yourself, then I think you're downplaying the point of buying a couch. You might as well have just bought a pile of foam or just sit on the floor or whatever it is you prefer. But it's really, really important for us to take the time and say, why are we doing something? So in the case of the hot dog stand, we go back to saying we want to have a fundamental drive to get up and do those things. So we want to either be able to feed people, which is a very satisfying thing. I love cooking for friends and family and helping people out and really making sure that we are, really together. And so whenever I look at cooking, or in this case, the hot dog stand, it's never about just, how many hot dogs can I give out and how much dollars can I take in return for the hot dogs, and I can count my dollars at the end of the day. That will get tedious and old after you've hit a certain point. What we want to really make sure we're doing is saying, is the why good? Does our why match our passion? Because that's the second part, is that if our hot dog stand's why is to just get as many hot dogs out there and to collect as many dollars, I'm going to tell you right now, there's much better ways to do that than running a whole entire restaurant. You're adding so much more complexity to acquiring money than you really need to. But if there's a passion where you're running your company and your why is you get a good sense of feeling to really embrace or help or give, and that wakes you up in the morning, that's a good why. If that why isn't doing it for you, if feeding people isn't doing it for you, then change the why. So if it's making the best hot dog, then that's really what matters. And if you're going to get up and you're going to experiment with mustard and ketchup and different types of buns and different type of meat composition, or buy your sausages from a custom sausage maker, that's inspiring. That's what gets you up and drives you to run your business better. You are always going to go by a baseline of hopefully running your company in a capacity where your revenues are going to exceed your costs and you're going to make money. And once that formula is made, it's sort of done. But if you have that passion and drive and that why, it's going to allow you to go a lot further, quicker, because when you get up in the morning, it's not like, oh man, let's give her beans again because I have to. But if you're getting up for a purpose or a challenge or the thing that's the next step, where you had someone give you a 4.5-star review and you're going to push that person to give you that 5 by just tweaking it that little bit further, those are the challenges that gets us up, gets us going. The other really important thing about a why is really for team members and talent. So one of the things that's happening right now in the world is there is a massive drain on talent. We've had a lot of events over the past pretty much 6-7 years that have had a pretty big impact on the way we really look at people and the way people are looking at their lives. And so if you're saying, hey, I want talent in my company, you're gonna have to give them something more than the monetary exchange. That's now the baseline. We have to assume that everywhere someone goes, they're going to be paid the appropriate salary for the appropriate amount of work. And that baseline isn't enough to coerce someone or convince them or, pleasurably and convince them to come and work with you. You need to do more. A why is an amazing point for drawing in talent, because a lot of times people that are at a higher capacity or high skill set are looking for challenge, a reason to be driven. They want to get ahead. They want to do more. They want to see something greater than monetary gain in some capacities. And this doesn't apply to everyone under the sun. And also the scenario isn't a complete exact science. This is just the idea of maybe if we change the way we look at our business to say, why am I running my business instead of I have to run my business, we can change some things. You can excite some people. If someone comes along to you and they are the best hot dog maker in the county or city or even the province, state, wherever you happen to be, if you tell that person, we're going to sell the best hot dogs, and your why aligns up with their why, they're much more inclined to say, you know what, everyone's offered me the same financial package, but I really like your mission. I like your why. I want to get on board with this and be a part of it. Now, that leads into a whole bunch of other things for retaining people and doing stuff, and we'll get into that in other videos. But we really want to understand that if you're getting up and you're running your company without a why, you're just hurting yourself, you're hurting your team, and you're really not taking advantage of what really can be done. People are motivated to accomplish things by a sense of drive or a completely different, non-scheduled reward is night and day. If you have ever experienced this from trying to bring people on board or attract talent, you're well aware of what I'm talking about. And this is where the why becomes important too. The last thing I want to go over with why you should know why you're running your company is for the outward appearance, the clients. So your clients in this, this time of life have choices. And if they don't have choices, congratulations, you are running a company we all want to be running. But the reality is most people have choices. And in the context of our hot dog stand, I think there's 1 or 2 people on earth selling hot dogs, maybe a couple more than that, but I digress. The idea we want to see happen is that when our clients come to us, they again have a baseline, which is, I'm hungry, I have dollars, I'm gonna get something to eat. Well, what's going to separate you out from choosing a place? Yeah, it could be flavor, it could be price, it could be a lot of things. But I think a big part of what drives people to talk, refer, to expand is when they get something different. They get an experience or a bit of a story or something like that. And this is something applied to by almost all companies, is that if you take a look at any advertising of any major company, they tend to spell their why out pretty clearly. And they sometimes land on things that, might go into the category of cringy, all the way to things that are really awe-inspiring. And it depends on the type of person and the client who wants to interact with the company, but really it's truly about giving that client another reason. You're trying to step above the baseline, because the baseline is an expectation. You arrive at the hot dog stand, you're leaving with a hot dog after a financial transaction. That's the baseline. We know that. The hot dog's going to be edible, it's going to be somewhat fresh, it's going to have, mustard, ketchup, the standard fixings. These are all baseline. You got to step above that if you're trying to succeed. If you're just interested in, the general transactions, that's perfectly okay too, if that's what drives you every day. But I think if you're trying to really focus on the growth or the expansion, you really, really, really got to knuckle down on your why. And I think the last thing I want you to be left with is faux whys or, faux missions and the we want to do good, or those generic things aren't good enough. You have to be specific. You have to be passionate. You have to say, this is why I'm getting up and I like it. And that's what I'm going to do. And I like it so much that if anything gets in my way, I'm going to climb over it and keep on going. And without that sense of belief, it's not good enough, because you're just sort of tricking yourself and you're sort of just filling in check boxes on the corporate list of things I need to do to be a proper organization or a proper company. And that stuff, everyone's doing it. Everyone's putting the bullet lists on their stands, their menus, the documents they have to fill out to keep running. That is what everyone's doing. But if you put on there a bullet point that's actually a star and it really is your driving matter, the rest of the bullet points don't even matter. You can just toss them in the baseline pile and say, don't worry about it. You're going to drive it with this one point. And if people can come up and say, hey, oh man, I'm on board with that point, they're going to be making their decisions faster. They're not concerned with the baseline. And remember, your why is never going to match the population of the planet or the population where you exist. We're a very diverse set of people, but the why needs to matter to you and your team and your core clients. That's what's really important. That's what's going to inspire them to draw more people in, to bring people on board, to get you more talent, to say, hey, you're passionate about hot dogs, you have to come work for us. This is what we believe in. And they're going to be that artificial net that reaches out. But again, without the passion and the belief and stuff, that isn't going to be enough. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate you taking the time for joining me, and I look forward to talking to you on the next video.